is either you're in school or you're out of school already, or about to be out of school.
Mm-hmm.
So you're beginning to figure out a lot of things. It's like when the chicken must come out of the egg, of the shell. We cannot see exactly how far it's going to grow or how far it's going to fly. But in your 20s, you shouldn't and cannot remain in the shell in that 20s period.
Okay.
I don't think that should be accepted.
Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About Tomorrow, where we talk about everything and everything as it affects us and you, obviously, your priority. So today we'll be discussing another very intriguing topic. For me, I have personal stakes, let me put it like that, in this topic, because I look forward to hearing from my bosses on set and, just learning and growing. You get me? So today, I'm sure you're wondering what topic is that. This is the topic. We're asking a question. Is it okay to have figured life out in your 20s? You should take a deep breath now. Follow me. It is often said that life is in at least 3 phases. The first 40 years for learning, the second 40 for achieving, and the last 40 for settling out the account and ironing out whatever errors may have occurred in the previous 2, if you get me. So anyone in his 20s is definitely learning and preparing to emerge, emerging phase. So is that the right time to figure out where one should be heading in his life? Or is it always clear? And if you haven't found that out yet in your 20s, should you be alarmed? Should you panic? Is the decade of your 20s, is it a break it or make it season? There are a lot of questions, a whole lot. We're asking a whole lot. The 20s. But we'll take it one by one. Like I'm never, ever, ever alone. And today again, I'm not doing it alone. I have to my left, say your name, Ogami.
Fine boy, David.
You should make that your social media handle. It will fly. And obviously we have Mr. Cyril on the show with us. And to my far left, please let us know your name, sir. Bolariwa. Bolariwa.
Cyril is doing his face like he's making me know that.
It's a nice name. Do you know the meaning of your name?
Yeah.
What does it mean? Can you tell us?
Came out with wealth.
Came out with wealth. Wealth, okay.
Yeah.
We are discussing wealth. We are discussing the 20s. So you heard me put the cards on the table. You are 21, you are 22, you are 23, you are 24, you are 25, you are 26, or you are 27, you are 28, you are 29. Or you are in your early or late teens years and you're looking at the 20s like, that's when I'm supposed to boom.
Who's gonna buy like 2 cars?
Do you get? Many of us had high and lofty dreams for our 20s.
Jesus.
Than by 23 latest.
Supposed to marry wife.
And for some of us, we just felt casualty of hassle, the peculiar Nigerian situation.
Of unknown.
But God will help us. Now, making it or breaking it, your 20s, we are not going to avoid Mr. Cyril coming first on this topic. You have to talk first.
Because of my experience.
Yes, sir. You've gone ahead and you can tell us. You can put it in proper perspective. So we're waiting. Your 20s.
Yeah, well, so my 20s were largely, I would say, a period of discovery.
Discovery.
Yes, it was. I had a lot of discovery. And to be frank, I think that they sowed the seed that will give me a picture of what was to come. If you look at those who study periodization or who look at futurism,
okay.
America was made during the 20s decade, the 1920s. They call it the Roaring 20s.
Okay.
What you see to America today, the seed was sown
during this time
in the 1920s. Yes.
Okay.
In fact, it was to tell you how cataclysmic it was. That was also when the Wall Street panic took place. What you generally call the Great Depression.
Okay.
The Great Depression is the euphemism they use. That what happened was panic, was serious panic. Because the economy went as far as it go. That is, the economy got to a point where it couldn't have gotten worse.
Okay. In America,
Yes, money's everything. In fact, that
it was worse than our economy is now.
in fact, that thing led to what later became World War II.
Mm.
But it was in that same period that America reinvented itself, as it were.
Mm.
So that it was like from the cocoon, the butterfly emerged.
In their 20s, in their 1920s.
When America was in its own 20s in the
20th century. Yeah.
In fact, see 20s, 20th century.
Everything is linked.
So yeah, that's why I said for those who believe in futurism and who do periodization, most of the time, the times of the world and history and eras, they can tell you this thing for free. So we are Latin America, but I think that in the human life, that 20s period is referred to as your youth. Usually, the vagaries and headwinds of your teenage years are slowly giving way, if you know what I mean. That headiness of your teenage years, because it's either you're in school or you're out of school already, or about to be out of school. So you're beginning to figure out a lot of things. You're beginning to calculate. You're beginning to think futuristically, as opposed to how you just do things because you want to do it at that time.
Just catching cruise.
Yes, for example, a child who perhaps would normally want to do something separate from what his parents want him to do. Now, even if he doesn't want to do what his parents are saying he should do, he will give them reasons of what he wants to become.
There will be logic behind it.
So
proper logic.
He begin to become goal-driven. Again, if you have been learning
responsible.
Yes, if you have been learning maybe a music instrument all along, when he's in his 20s, he has sort of matured at it and he wants to now make meaning out of what he's doing. So it's like a very critical decade years of life. So if anybody isn't able to figure out exactly what he wants to do, I mean, you have 20, 21, 22. For me, I think I figured out mine as early as when I was maybe 18, 19. At 19, I had such a firm grasp on, will I say myself, on what I thought I wanted to do, that it was settled. That was why at 20, it didn't break even. 21, it didn't break even. 22, I'd become not just worried, I'd become agitated. And by 23, I was wondering, this butterfly, when will it come out of this chicken?
The cocoon, they hold you.
I could do, in fact, because I think my dream of being a poet, being a writer, was overwhelming. I wasn't up to 20 when I started publishing for the newspaper.
Wow.
Wow. I left secondary school the following year. I was writing. By early 2004, I began by having a column, not just write. I had a column every week.
That's interesting.
The editor liked me so.
Very, very interesting.
So that 20s period, if anybody, okay, let me just wrap it up this way. It's like when the chicken must come out of the egg, of the shell. We cannot see exactly how far it's going to grow or how far it's going to fly. But in your 20s, you shouldn't and cannot remain in the shell in that 20s period. Okay. I don't think that should be accepted.
You shouldn't remain in the shell.
You cannot. You cannot. We may not tell how far you're going to go.
Okay.
But you can. People around you should be able to tell exactly what stuff you're made of and what you carry on.
So in your 20s, let me hold that thought for a minute. In your 20s, you shouldn't remain in the shell. Okay? Bola, I want to ask you a question. What are the seeming realistic things that you feel you've thought about that before you get to the third floor, your 30s, you must have, taken care of them?
A lot.
Yeah, I like
financially stable.
Financial stability. The main plan. One. Okay, that's the main plan.
That's the main plan. Okay. With that, all that things will fall into place.
Other things like what?
Getting married.
You look forward to that. Family. You look forward to that.
Are you not looking forward to that?
I'm asking Bola now. No, really.
David's mind is made up of some things.
Not really.
A lot could happen before that. So
a lot could happen before that.
As we.
Okay, a lot in terms of achievement in career, or a lot in terms of the ocean is filled with a lot of fishes.
Maybe my view of marriage would have changed by then.
Okay.
Now, my view of my
I feel very tempted to put Bola on the spot.
This
but
guy
I won't do it.
serious.
I won't do it. Okay, so one thing you said is by the end of you want to look back at your 20s and say that, okay, I achieved financial stability in my 20s. That's what you're saying, huh? David, aside financial stability, woman stability. What else do you look forward to in your 20s? By the end, maybe on your 30s, you want to look back at your 20s.
Let's be realistic.
David the bear.
Truth be told,
Mm.
I know we all want to make millions in our 20s.
Yes.
But if you think of it well, except for the fact that everybody wants to rush and make it, if you are earning 250 a month as a beginner, someone of 21, 22 is earning 250 a month.
Okay.
That's kind of enough.
That's very enough.
That's actually.
Wait.
That's
very enough.
Wait. In 2020, that's enough.
2021, 200 to 250k in 30 days. Come on. That's decent. It's decent.
So let's draw the line. Yes, I want to be a business owner.
A business owner.
I want to have my own pharmacy. But all those things are not just going to wake up in my 20s. You can't just wake up and start. Yes, you will make the process for it. I think 20 to 30 is when you're actually putting the investment to do all these things. It is left
the investment.
This is what the 20s is for. Not taking unnecessary risk.
Wait, putting the investment is what your 20s is for.
Actually. Because one, you just left school. So there is no way you are telling me, except let's say you have well-to-do parents who are ready to sponsor a lot of things.
Old money. That's how you get what we're trying to do. So
if you have people who are ready to sponsor you to go like that things will be a lot easier. But if you have to start by yourself,
I know a friend actually. That there is truth to what you said. I know a friend that he and his friend, they were done with the university. They were in their mid-20s and they set out on a tech path. What took his friend a year and a half to begin to roll in, I believe, 6 digits. And it took him about approximately, give or take, 3 years. Because all the friend did was after service and a little bit of dilly-dallying. Just, you know what, let me lock in. Just went back home, got all the stuff he needed, and stayed home. So home, there's food, there's money, there's what's the word, money for data upkeep and all this kind of stuff. And he had the focus. It yielded. This other person, home is not so beautiful. So he had to bounce around before, to the glory of God. Now, I know for a fact that he's doing very, very well. So like you said, when we are looking at financial stability, having something to fall back on is very, very telling in terms of how good you become. But I want to ask another question. I see stories of our examples in society, them Wole Soyinka, Chinua Achebe, all those men, and in their time, what they achieved in their teens and their 20s is almost like we are, as a society, not just individually,
Collectively behind them.
very, very much behind. Should we panic? Should we not be in a state of panic? Or
Shouldn't we categorize as the blessed,
the blessed?
the ordinary, and the behind?
Speak English. I don't find yet.
See, there are people who are lucky. I've never had to struggle.
Okay.
If I want something, I will get it.
Okay.
And a reason being that, okay, I grew up in a very content family. You didn't have much, but then whatever you have, you bless God for it.
Contentment.
So whenever I had to go for something, I would have to sit down. And then the minor, what my dad told me was, if you want to plan for something, start the minimal planning from 3 months. If you cannot get it in 3 months, move it up to 6 months. And that was being very realistic. There's no way you want to tell me that I want to own a 15 by in 6 months' time.
Only 15.
15,
iPhone 15.
Oh, sorry.
That 15 is
I'm
going
living
for.
on there.
Calm down. Is that say 15 is going for almost 2 million naira now?
Is this 15 or 16?
16 is going 3.
Wait, which one just came out?
16 just came out.
So
I'm
16
talking
is
of 3. This is in the 3s.
Let's start.
15 is almost going to.
Why are we doing this to ourselves?
Because for someone that earns 300,000, you cannot buy 15 in 6 months.
Why should you entertain the conversation?
Calm
of
down now.
15?
Calm
Me,
down
I'm
now.
going to
Calm
come
down.
at it. Do you know why?
I'm giving
you know why?
something very petty. I'm giving something
Oh,
as petty as.
Let me let you.
I love phones now on the normal day. I
let
love
you
phones.
know.
I
No,
see
it's
that.
not even you I'm attacking. Because these things you are talking about is actually very popular. Very, very popular.
And people go for it. See, truth be told, I'm a freelancer. God bless me and I start making, let's say, $500. What the fuck is 15? $500 a week. That's $2,000 a month. What is 15? Something you can get in 3 months. Is that I've not gotten there yet. In time.
So what?
Let's not just rush this thing. People are blessed. People were blessed with knowledge. Some were blessed with very well-to-do parents. And even if you go to some parents that have money, you see their children, they are not really even, they've already set things down for their children. You can't compete with those kind of people. The blessed, the well-to-do, the average, like us. Then there are people who cannot compare to us that are in the average.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I get what you mean. Right. Growing up, I had certain very important advantages, frankly. Very, very. So, for example, in a family of 9 children plus hangers on, there was never any need to be hungry. There was never any need to be hungry. Frankly, yes, there was never. In fact, if there was anything that you had, was that people will turn to you and say, "Why don't you share what you have?" Like,
9.
let me come here from that.
And no hunger.
No, never. There was never the need to be. That's a waste of time. They even during holidays, but you had more. One time I had constipation. I had indigestion, so I went to school, my secondary school. My teacher then was in Copan. I told him I was having constipation. The man said, he was looking for what to
what to eat.
And here I was.
You want for me? Oh God.
It no balance.
It no balance.
But I want to come to what you're talking about. The Achebes and showing because of this work.
I look at them and I feel inadequate.
Yes, I want us to dive a bit deep into it. They didn't necessarily come from well-to-do homes.
Yeah.
But they had something in them that, what I call, they affected civilization. They affected society. That's what I'm saying. They affected culture.
They had something in them that affected.
Mr. Seo, sorry, I want to cut you short there. Let me put it in perspective. Those people, I'm not talking about their lives individually. I'm talking about that generation they are coming from. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. They were answering real life questions.
That's where I'm going now.
Like I know my dad said, even his granddad said, questions that seeming 30-year-olds nowadays are struggling with. They were answering them.
Are you talking about just questions like in discussion like this? Or
not, I mean, okay, in terms of activity, in terms of the readiness to take on life, responsibility, their thinking faculty then, by way of writing and what they do.
So
what makes up the 20s
the
then was
of their being.
The 20s then was it was almost what the 40s now look like.
Are struggling to do.
No, what 40 then that age range looks like now. It looks like that's what 20 was then in terms of mind and what they could take.
That's what I'm saying. So there are many factors to look at. One is that not all the people of that generation were like that. You're looking at those whose face is military posters.
Okay.
Okay. Of that era.
Okay.
Achebe, Shoyinka, Okigbo, Agimokwede. They call them the something about UI7 also. There's something about the UI7. Now, a number of factors are at play. And believe me, it may not be anything too different from where we are today. To that fear of, if I came from a poor background, I shouldn't go back to that same place after I've attained the golden fleece.
So you grind.
Yes. So they were driven. There is also the place of what I said in an earlier episode about shirts per se. Some people are born great, some are
Yeah.
Afenton. Now, but you look at the milieu in which those guys had their formation. They were a generation in which the relevant things were taught.
The relevant things.
Yes, relevant things were taught. Not today, where you have teachers who perhaps have no business going to the classroom, and in the classroom they're teaching. Okay. You have a lot of substandard everywhere.
From the academic.
Yes, but in their own milieu, and there were few, so there's a lot of concentration on them.
Yeah.
It
wasn't widespread.
Yes. Then again, there was an environment in which the sort of thing that they wanted to produce was welcome. So, for example, Achebe Things Fall Apart when he was 28 years old. He was in his 20s when Things Fall Apart was written.
Wow.
He was 28 in 1958.
Wow.
Now, but yeah. So, and then when the book, came out, it was a hit because it was something the market wanted. Now, are you aware that Yours Sincerely has also written a collection of poems? As Barrister Ophelia has also written a novel. When I was at the airport the other day, I saw his novel at the bookshelf.
Yeah, I think I remember.
But if you don't have a reading generation, will I be correct to say that the genius of this age has been perverted so that the apps and softwares for internet fraud are in high demand? I don't know the high demand. And there's a market that team is thriving and people are catching on the
geniuses are tilted to
have been bent.
Okay.
People are producing today, but they are not as known as they ought to be.
So it's like the way you are saying it now is like even in our 20s now, we might have 1,000 Chinua Achebes in the University of Lagos as we speak. But there is no market for them to
Let me give another example. There's a program we do here on Enterprise. We call it the Middlemen.
Okay.
Now, Barzofeli and I, beyond media and TV, we share that common interest in literature. So sometimes when we're writing our stories and we bring in that literary element into what we do. And that's something that he personally likes. He loves it so much. Now, but imagine such great offering being put out. But how many people are actively looking for that? Because literary and scholarly or intellectual production or productivity makes a lot of sense when people have eaten, are satisfied, and can afford the luxury.
It is a luxury. It is a luxury.
And can afford the luxury.
It is a luxury.
Okay? When you read foreign media and read Nigerian media, sometimes you're like, these guys are. If a colleague of mine went on vacation in America, I think from London then to America, and a newspaper house has children's toy reporters.
Children's toy
reporters.
What does that even mean?
Okay. So as a journalist, your own area of writing is that you report toys.
The manufacturing of toys?
Yes, manufacturing and use of toys.
Which one is high in the market? Which one?
And the lady's subspecialty is that she reports on children's toys. So she only writes on stories about toys.
So if we look at if we look at it,
yes,
our 20s, in a way, we are put at a disadvantage because we are in Nigeria.
Well, that's
don't you think so? It's not looking at it now, because he has very high and lofty. I want to be financially stable. There's someone that said, I can't believe that I didn't remember this tweet. It was a popular tweet obviously on X. The tweet says, calm down, your 20s is not something like you shouldn't push yourself to death. That was the import of the tweet. And the Nigerian went under that tweet and said, if you are in Nigeria, you are not the audience of this tweet. That your 20s,
is not for you.
If you rest, you are done. And if you look at it, I remember one of the greatest things I did as a teenager. I was 18. I can never forget. I was given an opportunity to speak somewhere. It was just thrust on me. because they saw, I used to talk to teenagers then, my peers. I used to address them and everything. And I was really good at it. I remember I didn't do it then because I wanted to do it. I used to look forward to doing it then because I enjoyed it. I knew how to hold their attention and break it. And every other person will be doing their thing. And I could see it in their face. And they're, okay, David is coming. Just wait, David is coming. And immediately I come, everybody's eyes lit up. I knew how to, I enjoyed it. Storytelling, I enjoyed it. Then this one I was supposed to speak. I got help from God. I'm not going to lie. I was 18. So my audience then, they were elders, young people, married couples, everything. I thought to myself, okay, how do I do this? By the way of help that I got, I used just 15 minutes. And after that 15 minutes at 18, someone chatted me up and said, wow, your command of the English language is very, I didn't understand what he was saying. I was 18. And another person, people that I hold in really high esteem, they felt it. So I'm saying at 18, that could have been suggestive if I was in another country.
Yeah.
That could have been very, very suggestive. But we thank God for life. Let me put it like
See,
that.
you know, in Nigeria, we are a consuming country. Not just consuming per se. If you give us anything, we consume it and we consume it well. And I'm talking of food.
Okay.
And till date, we're not producing anything. All the oranges we have, no orange factory. All the mangoes we have, nobody is using it to do
The
anything.
food market and everything.
All the hey, what's the name of this? All the tiger nuts we have, all the tiger nut juice, no tiger nuts factory.
Yeah.
People are doing it in their houses. And people that are doing it in their houses, they still have to fight tax.
Yeah.
There's no structure that year in, year out. I know that schools push out, let's say, thousands of new fresh graduates. Where are these fresh graduates going to? There is no structure that can collect up to 1,000 graduates in Nigeria that is owned by Nigeria.
I feel you.
There are people who live on their voices alone. See, we must become a society where nothing is a reason why you can't produce or supply something to the greater society. In Achebesde, for example, he wrote this for part once. He didn't have to write a deed to write. It was one fell. It was
These people are just continually fascinating me.
It was just one fell swoop and hitting it. Today you have your phone. Not all of us may have the time to sit down and start writing. Whatever happened to just having that your phone, dictating a story into it. A publishing house that listens to what you've written, if they see potential in it, we can take it, extract, do the transcription. You don't need to pay for it. I hope you know.
They only give you a share.
They will give you money in advance. Say thank you for the story.
So
then turn it into
people,
I'm sorry that I'm cutting
people do that too.
I'm sorry that I'm cutting you guys short. It's because of want of time. Maybe we'll do a part 2 of the topic. But one thing I want us to take away is the fact that in your 20s, like you said, we're supposed to be emerging, discovering, investing. And we may have to do a lot more work because of where we are situated by the grace and mercies of God. The Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Of our beloved Nigeria.
They say when you are born in Nigeria, I don't know how far it is true. Life don't they lead you 1-0. And you have to walk fast and very well to score or equalize. God will help us. God will help us. Amen. We have to go spiritual because Nigeria's case it's only in God's hand. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in to watch this episode of Let's Talk About Tomorrow. We hope you learned a lot. And if you are in your 20s, just rest. Take a deep breath. Rest. You don't gotta kill yourself. Yes, I said it. Even if you are in Nigeria. Rest.
Walk.
Rest.
Rest.
We'll bring it. All right, guys. Follow us across all social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. And do well to join us on our next episode of Let's Talk About Tomorrow. From us here in the studios, it's bye for now.
Bye.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.